I used to obsess over technique. I was worried about my breath control, about my vowel shapes, about my high notes, about my diaphragm, about vocal tension, about all of these things. But there was something missing, and it was right in front of me all along. And when I discovered this tool, it totally transformed my singing forever. The piano. So my name's Kate. I've been singing formally for over 30 years, and I'm here to teach people how to sing with their authentic voices. It took me decades to really get into understanding how the piano could be something that would help my voice in more than one way. And we're going to talk about practical ways that it can help you a little bit later on. So bear with me. When I started singing lessons, I was also doing piano lessons, but I said to my parents, nah, I just want to sing. And I think that it's because it felt too difficult. I was like, getting frustrated, and I was kind of giving up early. And I said, I'll just focus on singing and I won't really worry about the piano. But I didn't realize what a big disadvantage this would put me at, because the piano is really something that for singers, it lays everything out in such a linear way. Because as I've mentioned before, the voice is so abstract that you don't necessarily have a map of your voice. But with the piano, you have this linear map. And that's what makes it different than guitars and other instruments as well. You can visualize what music looks like. Eventually, the years went on. I would learn a little bit of piano here and there, but nothing very serious. I always had pianos, but I just was so much of a perfectionist when it came to music that I was always turned off by not being able to know it instantly. And then eventually, when I got into college and I was studying classical music there, we had all of these practice rooms in the basement of the school, and people would go down there and they would play their Liszts and their Rachmaninoffs and all of the rest. And there were people practicing guitar and practicing other things and practicing singing. And I would go down there to practice singing. And my friend, who was actually in a science program, was also very artistic, and she was a great musician. And she came down into the basement with me, and she was like, here's a song that I know how to play. And it was this. It was Foolish Games by Jewel. And it just kind of blew my mind that I could do this thing. It was not that difficult. I just had to learn the pattern. And then her and I would do duets together. We would practice. And that was actually, in hindsight, a really large part of my success in that program, because it gave me an outlet to be able to really enjoy music. When I was worried about my voice, when I was worried about all of the academic things, this was like a little place where me and my friend could go and hang out and we could just play music. Playing was something that was revolutionary. It was no longer like I'm learning songs, I'm learning how to sing them, and I'm always dependent on a pianist or on listening to a recording. It was like, hey, I actually have the potential here. All I need to do is practice and I can unlock that potential. And then that just started my love affair with piano. And then over the decades after that, that's when I really started to become more of a musician, a more well-rounded musician, and a much better singer. This brings me to one of the main points about playing the piano. It will get you out of your head and into the music. It will get you into the vibe, into your feeling, into telling a musical story, rather than just thinking like, I have to sing this song perfectly. So it kind of became for me like a security blanket, like think Linus. You know, I had my piano, and so then when I would go to sing, I was like, okay, I can just focus on remembering all of my chords. And then then suddenly everything started to open up in my voice as well, because I was becoming something else. I was transforming into something else. I was no longer just Catherine, the classical singer or the opera singer. It was suddenly like I felt like I'm becoming a musician. And so that was just integral for me. Another practical thing for you guys is that you can use this as a reference point, as I mentioned earlier, as a visual reference point. So let's say you're doing a warm-up. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. When I'm playing it with the piano, it allows me to really just focus on following the pitch as I'm going up, rather than just focusing on the minute details about how my voice sounds. It allows me to just kind of like sync my note with the piano note. And of course, this is great in helping you to create a more accurate tone over time. So let's say you're somebody who doesn't have any piano skills, you don't even have a piano. Well, you can go buy a cheap keyboard. You can do that and just like get a little tiny keyboard and experiment with it and have fun with it. Or you can even get a musical app, get like GarageBand or something, and just use the little piano. And this way, when you're doing your warm-ups, it will give you something to refer to. And you can start on C. This is going to be the easiest. You don't have any black notes. And you just go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just see if your voice can line up with these. And you can just practice on that same scale, just on this C major scale. Sorry, on this C major triad. Na, 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 ni, 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 ni. And so just like experiment a little bit with the notes and just aligning your voice to the notes. And as you do this, you might see that, hey, things are starting to make sense as well with the piano. And then you can develop your skills as a musician outside of your voice at the same time. Or at the very least, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be having that reference point. That's why I think you see some of these singers like Mariah Carey, it's like, hee, and they like wave their fingers around, and it's almost like they're trying to like point at where the notes are that they're singing. Well, with the piano, you can do that in a way that's really realistic, that you're really going to get a good feedback of what the note is that you're singing right underneath your fingertips. Overall, what I really love about singing with the piano is that it's made me feel whole as a singer and as a musician. I still consider myself a singer more than a pianist, but over time, my piano skills have kind of exploded, and it's like I just get music better. And I'm able to now focus on creating something, interpreting a song, doing something that's expressive and that's emotionally expressive, rather than just focusing on my voice, isolated from everything else. I think the only other thing you can really do is sing in a band or sing with other people. But if not, it's kind of like an isolating thing to just be there, to only have your voice and to not have any instrument. For me, adding that into the mix, adding the piano into the mix, even though I thought it was so hard in my mind, once I started, it was not so difficult. Like just to learn any basic chords, you really just need to use 1, 3, and 5 in their first position, in their regular position. And like you think about songs like Let It Be, one of the most famous songs of, the pop era. And it's really just with these 4 chords, these are the essential chords to music. And maybe I'll get into that in another kind of more music theory video, but I think I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. But it's just like a C major, a G, A minor, F, back to C, to G, to F. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. So once I got that into the mix, once I really started to play piano in a way that I was like, I want to be able to accompany myself. I want to be able to learn some basic songs so that I can make music. Once I started to do that, I noticed an extraordinary change in my approach to singing, in my voice. Everything just kind of opened up. I really stopped overthinking, and I really started to enjoy singing, enjoy music, and that became a place of refuge for me. As I mentioned in another video, which was kind of like an origin story video, for me, putting everything together this way with the piano, it was my secret tool. It is my secret tool. And now I just love to learn other instruments just to add little bits here and there. And it's cool. You can create a process for yourself of exploration and enjoyment of music that goes beyond just your voice, but that will always be anchored in your voice. And you'll see that when you start to approach it less scientifically and less technically and more artistically, musically, with your soul, with your authenticity added in there, everything is going to become more well-rounded. Your voice is going to change. So let me know if you guys can relate. Do any of you play instruments? Does anybody out there play the piano, the guitar, something else? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if this story resonated with you guys. And if there's any specific tips, tricks, techniques, things that you'd like me to talk about, or stories that you'd like me to talk about moving forward. Thanks so much.